Hello, this is Ollie here at Visordown.com, and I want to wish you a happy half year. Okay, so that's not really a thing, but in motorcycling terms, it is a dot in the calendar. And it is now 6 months since we laid out the many motorcycles we couldn't wait to ride in 2021. We've ticked off a lot of models since then, as a quick look at this very channel will show you. And we must insist that you should, because there are some cracking motorcycles we've tested this year. But a development race never ends, and that means there are yet more intriguing models coming up. Some just around the corner, some that might be looking a little longer term. So to bring you up to date, here are even more motorcycles we can't wait to ride in 2021 or 2022. Without doubt, the biggest unveiling of 2021 so far, the Yamaha R7 arrives as a kind of successor to the discontinued but fondly regarded R6 sports bike. We say kind of because the R7 doesn't share a huge amount with the R6 in terms of ethos. So the screaming 4-cylinder engine has been replaced by a more modest but still punchy 749cc parallel twin unit, kicking out 72 brake horsepower. So if it's not replacing the R6 per se, what is the thinking behind the R7 then? Well, it seems the mid-capacity sporting class is going through a bit of a mellower new wave, where a dwindling demand for powerful but pricier and thirstier mid-capacity bikes means most have now been discontinued. As such, manufacturers are toning things down a bit to establish a more affordable space, but with still enough ponies to get the hairs on the neck standing up. We've already had the Aprilia RS660, then there is the Honda CBR 650R and the Kawasaki 650 Ninja. And now we have the R7, the latest variant in the reorganised Yamaha 7 line. The R7 is the fared, sporty version of the MT-07, which was also updated last year. It also means some perhaps divisive styling ideas have also made their way over, with some of you being a little unkind to the Cyclops-style central headlight especially. If you're not impressed, well, the R6 does actually live on, but you'll need a racing licence and no need to take it on the road because it's track only. Does Triumph have a night shift in its R&D department to ensure it is churning out new models 24/7? The British firm has not stopped launching new models, it seems, with updates and facelifts over the last few months, creating almost a completely overhauled range of motorcycles, and with it a very eye-catching sales growth too. Having spent much of that time focusing on the modern models though, Triumph has now given the retro lineup some attention with this, the 2021 Speed Twin. Naturally, when your brief is retro, Triumph hasn't had to work the styling too much, and rest assured there is still a very classic silhouette and lashings of polished chrome to admire here. The 1200 parallel twin is higher revving, providing more power at 99 brake horsepower, while tweaks to the suspension should ensure greater poise when hitting the country routes. New brakes, fresh graphics and a competitive price should ensure plenty of additions to those sales figures when it hits the road in July. KTM seems determined to fill every possible gap in the motorcycle segment, judging by a model plan that will see the Duke and Adventure be offered with almost every capacity displacement band up to 1000cc. That is, except a sports bike utilising the firm's Revy 1290cc engine, a motorcycle many out there are still craving ever since the RC8. Just saying, KTM. Nevertheless, that doesn't mean KTM isn't sharpening the fangs on its beast a little more, as the 1290 Super Duke R has been joined by the Super Duke R. It's no more powerful at 178 brake horsepower, but it is lighter, gets trick suspension, and is generally even angrier than before. The beast just got more bonkers. What's not to love? Meanwhile, its more mild-mannered cousin, the Super Adventure R, is getting a bit more alley. And that's it's a rally version, which will be less long-range GT mile muncher, a more low-down grippier rock crusher that will probably be able to climb the mountain the current model has to ride around. We've been waiting rather patiently for brand new MV Augusta material to emerge since it came under new ownership, and with it a significant amount of fresh investment. But it seems we're just going to have to wait a little bit longer for anything new to come. Nonetheless, MV have been zhuzhing up the current range with some Euro 5 spring cleaning, a smattering of new tech, and a liberal sprinkling of a new TFT dashboard. If the drop-dead gorgeous range has a tendency to prompt involuntary drooling, then you'll be pleased to know that you can continue to drool away, because there's still very much an unchanged look on the design front. Nonetheless, there is one new-ish model to celebrate here, the MV Agusta 1000 Rush. Perfect for those who reckon the already in-your-face Brutale, on which it's based, is just too damn subtle. The Rush is a jaw-dropping 208 brake horsepower slap of excess in the face, with its premium touches and drag racing-inspired traits. If you like being looked at and have a spare €38,800 knocking about, well, here is your new motorcycle. Okay, so we won't quite bet on us getting a leg over this particular model before the year is out, but we should find out more about this very, very intriguing project from Triumph and Williams Advanced Engineering. This is the introduction to Triumph's burgeoning electric motorcycle project, to ensure it gets the jump on its rivals when we fully adopt a zero fossil fuel future. This prototype is in the early stages of development, and you can certainly see the direction it would take with a sporting angled roadster that blends the look of a street triple and a Trident. It's one that in our eyes does an excellent job of shrouding the battery pack especially, certainly better than some, if not all, other attempts. Yes, there is a long way to go to popularise electric in a sector where the sound and feel were all over economy and running costs. One can certainly appreciate the hive minds coming together to create something that only a few years ago would have been unthinkable. One manufacturer which certainly knows its way around the electric marketplace, more on that later, Harley Davidson is nonetheless hoping it has already paid its dues to the emissions gods, because right now it is developing models for its big beefy 1250cc Revolution Max engine. A huge step forward for the American firm as demonstrated from its use in the Pan America. We're expecting it to see another model using it before the year is out. But what will it be? Well, it was supposed to have the Bronx Street Fighter being launched around now, using a smaller 900cc variant. However, last year the Bronx was put on the back burner for reasons unclear. Regardless, this is as good as the axe having been swung, at least for this model in its current form. As such, attention is turning to a model currently dubbed Custom, which will be the modern reimagining of the familiar Harley Cruiser silhouette. The Pan America might be a new direction for the firm, but in terms of assuring its future success by attracting new customers, as well as keeping its very loyal customer base satisfied, this is probably the most important launch Harley will make for some years. As we mentioned, Harley Davidson has form when it comes to electric, but the jury is perhaps still out on whether its ambitious LiveWire project has quite generated the momentum its former bosses would have hoped. Are we just not quite ready for it? Well, it certainly stands out in the Harley range, which goes some way to explaining why it has just been spun off into its own brand. So here we have the LiveWire, or maybe it's just LiveWire, like Prince or Share. Either way, the rebrand will go live, get it, in July, and LiveWire are promising something new to give it a push. What will it be? Well, a battery update with more range is our guess, but we're secretly hoping for an adventure-themed version to tie into its use in the long way up. Yet more electricity-powered motorcycles to spark your interest, this time from Husqvarna, which is emerging from its Swedish hibernation, a very long one, with an ambitious model plan led by the E-Pilen, a 300cc equivalent roadster with electric power at its heart. It is the first of two eco models on the way from Husqvarna as early as 2022, together with the firm's first scooter, the funky-looking but terribly spelled Vektorr. However, if you still aren't ready to plug in your motorcycle into the mains at night, Husqvarna aren't abandoning a more conventional way of fueling with the launch of its biggest model yet, the 901 Norden. This is its version of the KTM 890 Adventure, and it will be its first entry into the big off-road class. The Italjet Dragster. The original model was a style icon in its oh-so-90s Blade Runner-esque chunky design, so the spiritual successor had to be similarly eye-catching, and boy did they achieve it. It bears no relation to the previous generation, yet somehow embodies the same out-of-the-box thinking. This new model is all angles and edges, while that brilliantly exposed frame makes it look like a real-life Meccano creation. The Dragster was revealed in 2019, and it's been sold out pretty much ever since, despite production delays going deep into this year. But it is coming, and it even has MotoGP racer Andrea Dovizioso on promotional duties. Who said scooters had to be boring? We round off this video with a machine we really want to get our hands on, just for the fact we want to see if this hugely ambitious and very intriguing new sports bike from Canadian startup hasn't over-egged its stats and figures. This is the Daman Hypersport, and you guessed it, it is electric. But wait, don't switch off. If you've had your fill of electric, because first check out these claims. 150 kilowatts, which is the equivalent of around 200 brake horsepower, generating a top speed of 200 miles an hour. Together with a 0 to 60 time we assume will be eye-wateringly rapid, Damon are quoting 200 miles of combined range still. And this is coming at the top of the range for the equivalent of £31,000, with lower power models coming in at around £17,000. We think it's an attractive first effort too, plus it comes with adjustability for comfort or speed, and it's laden with tech such as 360-degree radar assistance. The company has already courted big-name designers and bosses, plus a huge wad of investment from big pre-sales. Is this the Tesla of bikes that would transform our opinion of electric motorcycling? I guess we'll find out.